Said JJAN again with a tried and tested team, has done a lot of preparation in the local circuit. Cups, challenges galore, has really kind of refined and honed this strategy, bringing it here to Toronto, and he's got the ambition to win it all. Superior, Medicham, Umbreon, Lantern, as well as Frostlass and Gligar. We've seen him just wrestle away control from these spicier team compositions. If you remember against SS Thorn, Shadow Dragonair, Clefable, he didn't seem panicked at all. He actually pulled out wins even when we didn't think that they were possible. And then on the opposing side, basically this is meta, anti-meta. We've got the antithesis MAGMARMAN.
And, you know, he said he was ready to handle some spice from SS Storm, but this is another level of spice. MAGMARMAN running the Mantine, Lurantis, Shadow Swampert, Registeel, Shadow Kanto, Ninetales, and Emolga. I don't even think I've ever seen Emolga on stream before, but here it is for MAGMARMAN. And here's the thing, MAGMARMAN, one of the two most meta picks for him is that Shadow Swampert and Registeel. And I don't think we even seen Registeel in action. I mean, that's just there to fill up a spot, I feel like.
We haven't seen the Registeel or the Emolga, right? He's basically playing 4 versus 6, but if you look at this team from JJAN, he's got Umbreon, Superior, and Frostlass. 3 ideal targets for the Registeel. Do we finally see the Ancient Steel Pokemon hit the field here?
I think it's going to be interesting for sure. It is a Dynamic Punch Medicham, so that's going to play even better into the Registeel. Gligar, fantastic into that matchup. Lantern, great if you have shields up in that situation. And even Frostlass, you can kind of win that situation if you start landing Shadow Balls. So, I think MAGMARMAN's going to rely on the Spice. He's not even bringing Spice for bench pressure, he's using Spice. So let's go. We're getting into Winners Finals, game number 1. JJAN into MAGMARMAN. We have the Emolga and a fantastic lead for the Emolga.
Emolga takes flight here against Medicham in the opening matchup. Let's see some hype in the chat and the crowd. If you were excited to see these trainers throw down, MAGMARMAN on the right, looking out to the crowd. JJAN dialed in with the ice punches. I have no clue who's going to win here. We see instant swap into the Frostlass.
And you see MAGMARMAN throwing the discharge already at the acrobatics entry, though that would do a lot of damage. Does JJAN throw up a shield? No, choosing not to shield the discharge. A great call from JJAN. And now here comes that Shadow Swapper. It's going to come in fast and hard, but so is the Avalanche.
Yeah, I think the Protect Shield here is pretty obvious. You don't want to get Powder Snow down. We've seen in an earlier matchup in day 2, the Powder Snow down really put that Frostlass too far ahead. So this is a pivotal matchup. Swampert needs to wrestle that switch advantage away from JJAN.
And the timing from MAGMARMAN, I love it, right? He says he hasn't been practicing, he hasn't been scrimming, but he already knows so much already. Maybe he didn't need the practice, but look at the back line here. This is going to be super nice for MAGMARMAN because you have a Lurantis in the back for the Lantern, and you can see going straight away for the Earthquake. He says, I have no fear, I'm going for the hard-hitting move. Do you shield your JJAN? No, yes! The Earthquake is going to come through.
This is so good because we haven't seen MAGMARMAN throw an Earthquake all day long, and he suddenly pulls it out here against the Medicham. What a key read.
How do you beat this Lurantis in the back? Medicham has almost no energy. You see JJAN trying to swap over as soon as possible, and MAGMARMAN comes in Lurantis. He doesn't even come in with a Emolga. And you can see JJAN say, oh my gosh, like how do I play around this team? And here comes the Lurantis looking like the MVP here for MAGMARMAN to close it out.
Sends out Lurantis right out of the gate, right? Doesn't even bother with the Emolga, just sends it out to meet the Lantern. And like you pointed out, Caleb, this is such an uphill climb or swim for JJAN, depending on how you want to frame it here, because the Lantern just has nothing to hit this Lurantis with, and those Leaf Blades load so quickly with Fury Cutters, your fast attack.
And you see MAGMARMAN all smiles in the interview, all smiles on stage. I'd be smiling too if I'm playing this well with the wildest team in the world. You see JJAN shielding Leaf Blade, and you don't have to shield anything if you're this Lurantis. I think you probably still have to shield the Thunderbolt coming in soon, and you see MAGMARMAN is going to throw up that first shield, but the next Leaf Blade is ready.
Don't forget that Emolga is still pretty close to a discharge as well, so if you need to make a combo play here, maybe land the Leaf Blade, switch in that Emolga, you can still close out that way, or you can leave the Lurantis in here and force the Lantern to throw energy.
And that Leaf Blade hits so hard. Do you save the energy on the Lantern? No, going to throw it against the Lurantis. Lurantis might be able to tank this. Let's see. It's going to be pretty close. And you see Lurantis does hang on. Try to swap in. The Leaf Blade does come in. Is caught on the Medicham. Can you spark down the Lorantis, or do you just swap over to Moga to finish it off?
You swap right here, come in with the Emoga. You're 1 or 2 away. Here comes the discharge. Emoga getting the better of Lantern in game number 1 of our winners finals.
And Moga that started off, and Moga to close it out. You can see MAGMARMAN enjoys it. Not running the favorite Alolan Raichu that he has on his hat, but running a Moga is still pretty fun in itself.
I'm going to tell you, if you're not watching this stream today, what the heck are you doing? These matches are so good. JJAN, a little bit of a misstep there in game number 1, but reminder to everyone watching, this is our winners finals, which means we play up to 5 matches unless there is the rare occasion of a tie. So there's still time for JJAN to adjust, and MAGMARMAN wants to keep this flame glowing bright.
It's glowing real. It's a whole bonfire at this point, too. You see the Hydreigon connecting on the Frost Slice, and here's the crucial moment. Throwing the Earthquake, 2 shields up, has no fear, goes straight for the hard-hitting move, forcing JJAN to throw this move. You can't counter down at this point unless you're going to get outpaced at that point. And the MAGMARMAN have the Lorantis in the back, down a shield, but still able to do so much damage against the Lantern and finish off the Medicham, and you got Moga to close it out. I mean, MAGMARMAN, I mean, this is not bench pressure. This is legit. Running a Lorantis Moga core. I never thought I'd ever see it, but here we are.
I'm telling you, if you wrote this story out, it could not look better than it does so far on the stage. Now, we talk about trainer tendencies. We didn't really see that Earthquake from MAGMARMAN at all in day 1 or day 2, and he finally pulls it out of the hat. So I think that we're going to see more kind of unique strategies, more manipulation of expectations from MAGMARMAN going into game number 2. The pressure really falls on JJAN, but as you can tell, he's cool, calm, and collected. He's been to so many Bring 6, Choose 3 tournaments. He's got experience. It might be on his side.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if all the experience in the world can prepare you for MAGMARMAN's team, but JJAN does have the reps under his belt, trying to find a way and saying, you know what? I got a strong team, right? Yes, I'm facing a spicy team. I lost that first game, but I have a really bulky, reliable team. It theoretically can cover everything. Can it cover Magmar's team? We're going to have to wait and see, and it is going to be game number 2, and we get the Frost Slice into Lorantis.
I anticipate an instant swap here from MAGMARMAN, going right to the Swampert. No hard check to be seen. No Superior on the side of JJAN, opting for the Medicham instead. Not even building to the Earthquake this time. This is an easy no-shield for JJAN.
Throwing the Hydro Cannon right away. I mean, I think this is still a great play from MAGMARMAN because the Earthquake is not enough to knock out, as we saw in that last game. The real question is, do you shield if you're MAGMARMAN? I think maybe will not shield. No, does decide to shield the Ice Punch. Switch advantage is pretty crucial if you look at the back-end matchup. But the thing is, I don't think either trainer knows exactly how crucial it is yet. Throwing the Hydro Cannon before the charge attack priority potential from JJAN. JJAN is going to respond with his own shield. Yeah,
I think the Swampert's pacing is just so valuable. You got to give it at least 1 Protect Shield if it's a Shadow variant. That's exactly what we see. Trying to equalize the Protect Shield situation, but unable to wrestle away Switch advantage. Now MAGMARMAN needs to get a bit more craft. You need to play with your energy a little bit more. Comes in with Lorantis. The Fury Cutters are adding up over time. I think you can take 1 Ice Punch and Fury Cutter all the way down.
And actually throwing the Leaf Blade before the Ice Punch. I think not wanting to take all that damage because you kind of need the Lorantis for the Lantern. Unfortunately, there is a Lantern in the back, and you can see MAGMARMAN say, yeah, I kind of expected that at this point in time too. Now, this Kanto Ninetales does have Overheat. It's going to hit quite hard, however, it's going to be resisted. Throwing the Weather Ball actually at the Lantern, maybe trying to bait out shield, but either way, this is a tough matchup even if you land the Overheat.
Well, after you throw the Overheat, it does debuff your Ninetales anyway, so I do appreciate the play there, because now you get a Weather Ball at full strength, and potentially the Overheat too, so you're doing maximum damage. I really like how MAGMARMAN is playing the situation, because he doesn't have a lot to work with.
And you see JJAN building up to 100 energy, back-to-back Surf loaded, saying, you know what, this is why I'm running the team I am. It's so bulky. I know I can tank all these moves. Here comes that first Surf, is knocking out the Kanto Ninetales, and here comes a Thunderbolt, the harder hitting move into Lorantis. Yes, resisted. However, this chip damage is crucial because now you're putting it closer and closer to Powder Snow range.
Exactly right. Lorantis is going to build a lot of energy, gets the full Fury Cutter down against the Lantern, but now the Frost Slice comes out just like we saw in the opening scenario. Great timing though, 1 single Fury Cutter and then the throw of the Leaf Blade, but I don't know how much pressure Lorantis can apply here against the Frost Slice.
Lorantis did do some magical things in the previous game, but this is not situation you want to be in with Lurantis. Leaf Blade is going to connect on this final charge move, but it is not enough to knock out, and here the process is going to be able to fast attack down.
Yeah, really well played by JJAN there. A tough switch in for MAGMARMAN, getting responded to with that Lantern. As a Shadow Kanto Ninetales player, you know that's one of the worst possible positions to be in. And I do think that going into game number 3 here, we are going to see a little bit of a safer approach by MAGMARMAN. I say safer, right? But then you look at this team, and there's so many wildcard options, it's really hard to imagine what a safer lineup could look like. But yeah, a couple of tough matchups there. MAGMARMAN unable to recover in spite of playing really well.
Safety, I don't think, was on the back of MAGMARMAN's mind when he made this team. But yeah, that was a tough situation for MAGMARMAN to climb out of. That was actually the most ideal situation for JJAN, outside of the fact that he probably could have brought Serperior into the Swampert. But, yeah, you know, Serperior's a very tough Pokemon to bring to MAGMARMAN's team, so I think I really like the neutral pick of that meta champ. The question is, can JJAN do that 2 more times again to win this best of 5?
Exactly.
Having the perfect alignment was crucial there, but how hard is it to get that alignment every time?
Yeah, it just incredible composure by JJAN as well. He took that early game 1 loss, but is not shaken. Our SME actually talked with JJAN briefly before the day 2 battle started. JJAN said, I'm really concerned about MAGMARMAN's team. It's not easy to beat. There are a lot of variables to consider. He was able to bounce back there with a game 2 victory. And as a reminder to everyone watching, this next battle is not decisive. This is a best of 5. So both trainers need to win 2 more games to advance to the grand finals.
Which means for you all watching at home or in the audience, we got at least 2 more exciting games left, maybe even 3. And we can see our trainers are trying to decide how to play out this third game, because this is pretty crucial. If you win this one, the momentum's on your side, and you're only 1 game away from earning yourself a spot in the top 2 in the grand finals.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the pressure continues to rise here as these 2 trainers battle it out, but I do like that there was that immediate response by JJAN. He's basically sending a message, right? He's got a meta team, a tried and tested team, one that's succeeded in previous events like Sacramento, and he says, I can take this team all the way, and it's up to you to stop me. I don't care how flashy your team is, how fun it looks. You still have to beat me.
And I wonder if MAGMARMAN's going to bring that Shadow Cancel Ninetales again. I don't know if it provides too much coverage for him, because I think you're not expecting Serperior to show up either way. And here we have a pretty solid lead for MAGMARMAN. Swampert into a Spark Lantern to kick things off.
Solid lead, but not always decisive. Lantern can hang in this matchup, especially if you go straight for the Earthquake and it does get Protect shielded. Gonna go for a Surf here right away. JJAN wanting to get some chip damage onto the Shadow Swampert, which has been so problematic for him so far in the series.
And you can see swapping in the meta champ, and here comes the Emolga, a fantastic swap for MAGMARMAN, and saving all that energy for Swampert is crucial, because now you have the Lurantis, which is a harder wall to Lantern. But more importantly, you have all the energy stored on Swampert for that process, which is a core breaker for this back line for MAGMARMAN. Now that JJAN gave up switch advantage, though, MAGMARMAN's in the clear and going for a hard-hitting acrobatics. Do you shield if you're JJAN?
This is going to deal a lot of damage, and we do see the Protect Shield from the JJAN, and unfortunately, the Emolga is unable to connect on that first one there, but JJAN looking for the second Ice Punch. We do see a predictable Protect Shield from MAGMARMAN, but this means he can coup another Acrobatics. The question is, if you're meta champ, do you double shield here and look for the full counter down?
I don't think JJAN does, because now you're exposing your Lantern to an Earthquake, and you already know Swampert has a lot of energy. Here comes that Acrobatics. It is going to connect. It is going to knock out the meta champ. 1-hit KO. And here comes the Lantern, but Lantern's going to be met by the Lurantis in all likelihood, and that is not going to be a fun spot for the Lantern.
Now we see the instant pivot into Process, met by the Shadow Swampert, and he leaps out of the Pokeball straight into the Earthquake. Frostlass is going to get rocked by the Earthquake.
Another huge Earthquake from MAGMARMAN. He has no remorse, going straight away for the hardest hitting move, and now forcing JJAN to shield the Hydrocan with so little health on the Process. Process might be able to get the Powder Snow down. Can it get it? It does, but it has so little health left. And you see Lurantis already Fury cutting its way into this matchup, building up some energy, and MAGMARMAN feeling great about the calls he's making.
I'm telling you, Kill, that wasn't a jab, that wasn't a hook, that was a haymaker thrown by MAGMARMAN, and it paid dividends. In comes the Lantern. This is the same matchup that we've seen a couple times already in this series, but the difference maker now is that this Lurantis is at almost full health. It's soaks the surf, no problem. Looking for a Leaf Blade, gonna build up to 2 here and try to take this Game 3 victory.
I don't know all the fighting terms, Speedy, but I do know knockouts, and this looks like a knockout performance yet again from MAGMARMAN. Just almost enough to knock out, and Fury Cutters is gonna finish off that Lantern.
MAGMARMAN responds to the Game 2 victory from JJAN. He is not going away quietly in this winners finals. MAGMARMAN now stands 1 game away from the grand finals in Toronto, and it's up to JJAN to win 2 games straight.
And you see all smiles on MAGMARMAN's side. I mean, here's a tough part. I can't believe I'm saying this too. And we're gonna take a look at recap first. And you see the Moga is going to finish off the Lantern, I believe, in the first game.
Yeah. Poetic, right? The Moga taking down the top electric type in the meta.
And then, so that was the first game. MAGMARMAN able to close it out. And here you see Lurantis coming in, second game recap. Lurantis trying to do his best. Unfortunately, Frostas is able to finish it off. And then in this third game, you see Emolga laying the hard-hitting acrobatics, a huge no-shield for MAGMARMAN's side, because allowing you to finish off the meta champ. And then the crucial Earthquake, another huge Earthquake from MAGMARMAN. If you're JJAN, in your head, you're thinking, should I just start shielding every move from Swampert? Because I have no idea if he's going to go for the Earthquake whenever. It makes no sense, but it's working every time.
It's so unpredictable, right? I think that puts so much pressure on the opposing trainer, because all through day 1 and up to this series in day 2, MAGMARMAN didn't throw maybe a single Earthquake the entire time, and now it's Earthquake after Earthquake, trying to trigger the Richter scale here in Toronto with his Shadow Swampert, and it's been so impressive to watch. If you're JJAN though, there's now a tremendous amount of pressure on you to stop that Shadow Swampert. If you overcorrect though, if you lean into something like Superior and your opponent brings back the Kanto Ninetales, brings in the Emolga, you could run out of options really quickly. So this selection screen right here is the most important one of the tournament for both of these players.
And that's why I think MAGMARMAN's team building is genius. You have so many checks to Superior. You have the Regiseal, the Kanto Ninetales, the Emolga, the Mantine, and then even Lurantis can kind of hit back in certain situations. It's so hard to bring that Superior, which was why MAGMARMAN is leveraging Shadow Swampert in every single one of these matchups, and it's been so good for him in every single one of these. JJAN, the one game he won was when he had MAGMARMAN completely outcomped, completely countered. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I feel like JJAN's at a disadvantage when he doesn't have the correct matchups. When he's playing these neutral matchups, he's at a disadvantage, which is just wild to see.
Yeah, exactly right. MAGMARMAN cooked this team up in the Cinnabar lab, and it's setting the stage on fire. Let's see what we get in game number 4. We've got leads on the field, and Kanto Ninetales meets Metachamp.
And this is going to be an interesting matchup. Typically speaking, Metachamp is going to be better in this matchup, especially with Dynamic Punch, actually, because you can get to that second Dynamic Punch faster than you can get to that second Psychic. Do you go for the overheat? You see neither trainer actually throwing their moves. MAGMARMAN deciding, do I shield or not? Oh, choosing to let a Dynamic Punch go. This is going to do a lot of damage, Speedy. Barely hangs out. Wait, saves the overheat and now comes in with the Swampert.
Swampert's going to absorb the Ice Punch here. We may or may not see a Protect Shield here from MAGMARMAN. He has been giving a lot of his Protect Shields to the Shadow Swampert, but not this time, because he knows it's just the Ice Punch. Going to build a lot of energy, and now the Metachamp almost looks like it's within Hydro Cannon range. He might just go for it.
Now, all that Fire Spin damage really added up against the Metachamp. Typically speaking, one Hydro Cannon is not enough to knock out the Metachamp, but now you're forcing JJAN's shield, and you have a back-to-back Hydro Cannon situation, and MAGMARMAN's going to win that charge attack priority on the Metachamp. JJAN just wasting the shield, not getting much value out of it. Does he hang on though? And no, Metachamp gets knocked out. Ice Punch going completely to waste.
This is a bit of a game changer too, because now the Frostlass has 4 Powder Snows worth of energy. Kanto Ninetales is on its last leg, on its last paw. It doesn't have a lot of HP left, and you got a Lurantis in the back. If you're MAGMARMAN, you're in a tough position.
You have a shield advantage, but what do you do with it? You have Frostlass for the Lurantis, you have Gligar for the Lurantis. JJ's done with the Lurantis shenanigans, and MAGMARMAN is suddenly in a terrible position.
this doesn't look good, right? If you are MAGMARMAN, he's going to no Protect Shield on the first Leaf Blade, knows that it's not nearly enough, going to try to pace to a second one. What we might see, though, is a second Leaf Blade and then a combo play into the Kanto Ninetales, but this is basically your last chance if you're MAGMARMAN. You have to hold on to Lurantis.
And MAGMARMAN hasn't even seen the Glide Guard yet, but either way, if it's a Lantern in the back, you're still in kind of a tough spot down a shield. If it's a Glide Guard in the back, you're in a terrible spot. It is going to be that Glide Guard. JJAN letting the move go. Huge play. Really great call, because now you're in a fantastic matchup, and yeah, you know that this is a tough situation for MAGMARMAN. You have to throw a Leaf Blade, and you know there's an overheat stored on MAGMARMAN. You're not going to shield this, right? It's only going to be neutral damage, and JJAN saving that shield. Really correct call from JJAN. I don't think you have enough time to even get double Weather Ball off.
No, a fantastic call out by JJAN there. Think in terms of relative damage, the neutral Leaf Blade versus a neutral overheat, you're definitely going to Protect Shield up the overheat, and that's exactly what we see. JJAN's experience and prowess pays off here in game number 4 as he smothers the flames there. It does not allow MAGMARMAN to take the series.
Made a really great adjustment for that game, and I feel like for MAGMARMAN, Shadow Cancel Ninetales is not the play. Unfortunately, both losses were with Shadow Cancel Ninetales, and that huge dynamic punch from JJAN. JJAN taking a page out of MAGMARMAN's book, going straight away for the hard-hitting move, not trying to bait around.
I think beating the Frost Lass is the main concern, right? I think that's why he keeps bringing that Shadow Kanto Ninetales. We've seen tons of Medicham, we've seen tons of Gligar. Registeel does not feel like a safe choice to beat Frost Lass, so he's trying to rely on his Fire-type Pokemon, and JJAN he's just playing into his hand, right? He keeps seeing that Pokemon, he knows he can beat it, and the correct shielding call made all the difference here for JJAN.
But the thing is, it seems like MAGMARMAN, the times he's beat Frost Lass is when he didn't bring Kanto Ninetales. So I wonder if maybe the play is still just to rely on these neutral matchups and see how it goes. You're absolutely right, though, because Frost Lass does look very tough for MAGMARMAN when he doesn't have Registeel and Kanto Ninetales, but somehow he's finding a way.
What on MAGMARMAN's team beats Gligar and Medicham?
The Mantine.
It's got to be, right? Mantine has some neutral play against the Frost Lass too. Do we finally see the Mantine show up here in our winners finals?
That's a great point too, because Mantine's even better into Medicham without Psychic. And that's exactly the Medicham that JJAN's running. Now, we haven't seen Mantine at all. If MAGMARMAN brings Mantine into game number 5, complete switcheroo on JJAN. I mean, if JJAN's not already confused playing this game, that's going to be a confusing matchup for sure. Definitely something that he might not see coming. But MAGMARMAN, someone as crafty and creative that can make this team, can definitely come up with a creative strategy for this pivotal, this final game number 5 in the winners finals. Winner will go into the grand finals with a set advantage over anyone that they face off in that grand finals that meets them. Loser will have to face off against SS Thorn in that loser's finals.
And that's the dichotomy, right? If you win this next game, this next single battle, you're guaranteed at least second place in Toronto. But if you lose, you have to go down to that loser's bracket and potentially grind out another best of 5 against SS Thorn, one of the best trainers here in the tournament this weekend. There's a lot on the line here for both JJAN and MAGMARMAN. I think adjustments are pivotal. I say give them all the time they need to make the team selections, right? Because this is an incredibly important match.
There's a ton on the line, and for them, this is their biggest match they've ever played in the championship circuit. This is the furthest JJAN's made it, and this is the furthest MAGMARMAN's made it, so they are on the hot seat, but they're playing incredible, and they've given us 4 incredible games. I see a 5th incredible game coming.
I do as well. JJAN looks pretty confident, unfazed to be in a decisive Game 5 in the winners finals. We're going to get a lock-in here from both trainers pretty soon. But again, this is a decisive battle. Spice versus Meta. Toronto winners finals, Game 5.
Meta versus anti-meta. Let's see who comes out on top. And it's going to be the Umbreon into the Shadow Swampert. I don't think we've really seen the Umbreon much at all in this series, but JJAN does bring out for game number 5. No Mantine for MAGMARMAN, but no Lantern for JJAN. This Shadow Kanto Ninetales looks pretty good. I think JJAN is expecting, all right, he hasn't beat me with Shadow Kanto Ninetales yet. There's no way he brings it game 5, but MAGMARMAN tripling down at this point and trying to look for that first win with the Shadow Kanto Ninetales.
And look at JJAN's team as well. He's got Umbreon in the lead and Frost Lass in the back. Absolutely zero respect for Registeel. He knows that Pokemon is not coming to this matchup. I anticipate the Protect shield here because Shadow Swampert still has more to say in this decisive game number 5.
And you see MAGMARMAN is going to use that first shield against that on-ground. You go for the Earthquake. If you're JJ and you're thinking, man, he's been going for Earthquake a lot, choosing not to shield yet again. MAGMARMAN is going to charge attack priority in this situation if MAGMARMAN decides to stay in this matchup, and is going to throw on that. I don't even know if this charge attack priority. I think it's the middle of the snarl. So actually, JJ is just going to give up switch advantage to MAGMARMAN, which is huge.
Look at how much health the Shadow Swampert has. It's going to be a really tough counter down. You're going to get another charge attack if you're the Shadow Swampert. Can you reach the Earthquake? Going to go for the Hydro Cannon at the last second, but this chip damage is going to be super valuable. The big question for me, Caleb, what Pokemon do you bring in? Do you bring in the Kanto Ninetales here against Medicham or the Emolga?
I think you bring in the Molga for sure. I mean, MAGMARMAN can't see the backline, but that process has been a problem for MAGMARMAN, and this is huge. You got the shield from the Hydro Cannon, which is big because Hydro Cannon is going to do less damage than the Acrobatics. So now you're on shield parity, which is huge. And here comes the process where we met by the Shadow Kanto Ninetales. JJ is like, there's no way you brought this again. 2 games you haven't won with this. How would you bring it into this 3rd game? But MAGMARMAN making the huge read, and now not shielding a Shadow Ball is going to hit really hard.
Shadow Ball connects into the Shadow Kanto Ninetales. Powder Snow is resistant, looking for some Weather Ball damage here any second now. Trying to build up to 2, gets to the double back-to-back. Here comes the first one getting fired off into the Frost Ice. Do you see the Protect Shield? It's so risky because you know you can't Powder Snow down. No Protect Shield, it's all up to Medicham.
Medicham, one of the strongest Pokemon. This is the true test of meta. Can meta hang on against anti-meta? First counter is going to come through. I think Medicham is going to be able to get at least 2 counters off against this Kanto Ninetales. Emolga has a little bit of energy, but so does the Medicham. And I think this really depends on, do you land the acrobatics or do you get the perfect bait with discharge? You've been throwing Earthquake this whole time. He has not been baiting the JJ's shield.
He calls it!
The biggest no-shield call of JJ's career.
He calls the discharge, going for the double Ice Punch. He's trying to get there. Here comes the first one, the final protection for MAGMARMAN gets used. The time is running out. Do we see another Ice Punch or the discharge? It's a race. Both Pokemon going for it. Here comes Medicham!
Wow, JJ closing it out with the Ice Punch. He is going to win game number 5 and head straight to the grand finals, running the most meta team and toppling the anti-meta team of MAGMARMAN.
JJAN bends, but he does not break, making his way into the grand finals in Toronto.